What does a win-win situation look like in a negotiation? By the end of this video, you're going to walk away not only knowing how to negotiate better, but how to ensure that everyone involved walks away feeling like a winner. First, we're going to discover the thing that most people lack in negotiations that all but ensures that they're going to walk away a loser. We're going to identify the information that you need to be a strategic negotiator, and you're going to learn the key to never accepting less than your value. I hope you're ready. This is going to be a really good episode. Let's get started. Oftentimes, when we think of negotiations, we imagine someone going in and plowing over other people so that they get their way and they walk away the victor, and everyone else is sitting around wondering what just happened to them. If that's your view of negotiations, you're probably not going to be that great at them, because at the end of the day, you want everyone to walk away feeling like a winner. And you might say to yourself, why? As long as I get the better deal, it doesn't matter. Well, but does it? So here's the challenge. Depending on what you're negotiating for, if the other party doesn't feel like they're getting the best end of the stick, they're less likely to deliver quality to you. So for instance, let's say that you're working with creatives, graphic designer, photographers, writers, and let's say that you negotiate with them and you work them down until they're accepting a quarter of their value. You feel great, but now they're not really that enthused about working with you. Do you think that you're going to get the same quality article or book from a ghostwriter? Do you think the graphic designer is going to spend as much time ensuring that your vision is realized? Or do you think that photographer is going to take the same amount of time in editing your photos and ensuring everything is just right? So, ensuring that everyone walks away happy also ensures that everyone walks away a winner and gets what they actually need. So let's talk about that thing. I said at the beginning that I would give you the one thing that a lot of people lack in negotiations that makes them walk away a loser. And here's that thing. Before you start negotiating, you have to know what your goal is. What does it look like? Is it a monetary amount? Is it a workload amount? And this is true whether we're talking about business or personal lives, even romantic relationships. What is the goal of the negotiation? What change do we want? What thing do we want to achieve? And then after knowing our goal, we have to know what our hard line is that we're not willing to be pushed back past. So this is the end of the road for me. If we go past this point in the negotiations, I will not accept less than this thing. But here's the kicker. If someone pushes you past that line, you have to be willing to walk away. And so many of us enter negotiations and there's no point that we'll walk away. We don't really have anywhere else to go. We haven't looked at other places of employment. We might think that we can't get another relationship with someone else, whatever that looks like. But if the other party knows that no matter what they deliver, we're still going to stay around, it doesn't really incentivize them to negotiate with us, does it? So what we have to do is have that hard line and make it known we will not go past that point. We don't have to announce it in the beginning, but once negotiations get to that point, we have to be willing to say, you know what? I appreciate you for considering this. I'm just not the right fit. Or this will not continue this way. But I appreciate the conversation. If you are not willing to walk away, you do not have any leverage in negotiations whatsoever. You have zero leverage. So you have to be willing to walk away. And if you have to get some plan Bs out of that, that's fine. And if you have to research plan Bs before entering into negotiations so that you can walk away, that's fine. Now, we talked about you knowing your goal, but you also have to know the other party's goals. What is it that they want to achieve? What is their line they won't go past? Also, what incentivizes them to make a decision or to go along with what value you're proposing? So here's an example for you in terms of incentives. Years ago, when I was working in hotel and restaurant management, I had a manager who was helping me as I was trying to acquire this piece of business. I knew that this particular company would likely go with our competitor because our competitor always offered lower rates on hotel rooms. And so as they were proposing an event for a large amount of people, hundreds of hotel rooms a night, that room rate would actually matter. What was interesting is that when I spoke to my boss, she asked me to recount all the things that the client had told me in that discovery call. And I told her about everything that the client said mattered, but then I also mentioned the client said that this meeting is really stressful for them because their VIPs from all over the country fly in and they tend to be kind of mean. And so she was kind of scared. She was, afraid for her job. She just wanted to make them happy. There's 43 of them. And my manager said, oh, we're going to get this piece of business. I said, what? She said, we're going to go in $10 more per room, per night for each of those rooms. than what we know that the other hotel will do. And even though that's going to be a significant amount of difference in terms of the amount of money they're going to pay, they're still going to choose us. And I said, why would they do that? She said, because that other property only has 2 suites. We have nearly 60. We're going to give them 43 complimentary suite upgrades. So all of those VIPs that she's scared of will have these special room types, and they'll feel like special little butterflies. And since while her incentive is yes to plan this meeting, but also to keep her job, she's going to choose the item that's going to take care of the VIPs. And sure enough, when I sent over the proposal with the higher room rate, I wasn't entirely sure about this process, but sure enough, my manager was correct. The client chose us. So understanding the incentives of the other party, what will make them choose you? It's not always the obvious things. It's not always based on price. It's not always based on speed. Sometimes they even have their own personal things that overarch and influence the negotiations. Next, we want to make sure that you can identify and communicate your value. So if you know that leveraging your services will save their company X amount of dollars, that's something you share. If you're negotiating for a higher salary and you know that you bring in X amount of dollars or you save them X amount of dollars in lawsuits or PR crises, bring that actual number to you in negotiations and explain that this little bump that you're asking for is insignificant in relations to the value that you offer. And again, you can even do this in personal relationships as well. But try to monetize your value as much as possible, or attach numbers to it, or attach how you help to avoid something negative so that you know what your value is and they know what your value is too. We're going to pause for just a moment. I have 3 more really good tactics for you, but before we get to those, I want to ask you, are you a good negotiator? If so, go ahead, share that in the YouTube comments for this video. And if you're a good negotiator, what are some of your top tips? What are some of the coolest things you've negotiated for? I'm curious to know what you've done that's worked. So now that you know what your goal is, what their goal is, you have an understanding of your value, now it's time to start the negotiations. And whatever you're aiming for in terms of a goal, always start above that goal. Start so that you get more than what you're asking for. That way you have some leeway so that as they work down, if they work down, they may give you outright what you're asking for, but that way you still have the opportunity to hit that goal. If you start at that goal, then you have no place else to go but underneath that walkaway point. Another thing I want to make clear is that value comes in many different forms, not just monetary. And so maybe this other person you're negotiating with cannot pay you the amount you want. Maybe this company cannot deliver this certain amount. However, there might be other non-monetary concessions that are worth the value difference of what they're proposing. So for instance, if you're negotiating for a salary increase and they can't meet you exactly where you want, but they can get partially there, maybe you ask for additional benefits, or maybe you ask to be able to work from home additional days, or maybe you negotiate for more vacation days. Yes, that's a thing. So start thinking about other things that would add value. Maybe you want the opportunity to train with a particular person, or you want an assigned mentor, or you want them to send you on some type of external training and pay for it. Whatever that is, don't ever accept less money without getting the same amount of value and non-monetary concessions. Your value doesn't change just because someone's budget can't accommodate you. The last piece of negotiating is once you all come to a point where both of you feel like, okay, this is doable, make sure that you end the negotiations in a way where the other party walks away feeling like they won something and they see how excited you are to move forward in that relationship. You don't want it to feel like you got over on them, and you don't really want them to feel like they got over on you. But at the end of the day, you want to end this as a partnership where 2 people or 2 different teams or 2 different organizations came together, found a mutually beneficial solution, and everyone walks away a winner. But speaking of winners, we're talking about negotiating so that you get more salary or better relationships or whatever it is you're negotiating for. But we're looking to the future. We'll have another tool for you that will help you, or actually a group of tools. If you go into the description of this video, you're going to find a link to download the Future Ready Playbook. This playbook is full of activities and insights that will help you be more strategic in how you plan your future, whether we're talking about your personal goals or professional goals or even organizational goals. So take a moment and download that right now.